You know the archetype, right? The gritty entrepreneur, the risk taker, the person who mortgages the house, works 80-hour weeks, and builds something from nothing. We glorify that struggle. It's the classic American business narrative.
Oh, absolutely. It's the hero's journey of capitalism. But here's the cold, hard reality that nobody talks about until it's too late. That heroic struggle is exactly what kills the value of their business when they try to sell it.
That sounds completely counterintuitive. You're saying the very thing that built the business, that intense personal risk taking, is what makes it worth less?
Precisely. We call it the dreaded 1x multiple. And for a small business owner expecting a big payday, it's basically a horror story.
Okay, let's back up. Break down the 1x multiple for me. What are we actually talking about here?
So, in simple terms, a multiple is how buyers value a company. Usually it's a multiple of your annual profit, specifically SDE, or seller's discretionary earnings. If you make 100 grand a year and you sell for a 3x multiple, you get 300 grand. That's a nice exit.
Right, that's the goal.
But the 1x multiple means you sell that business for exactly 1 year's worth of profit. If you make 100 grand, you sell for 100 grand. After taxes and fees, you walk away with almost nothing. You haven't built wealth. You've essentially just collected a severance package from a job you created for yourself.
That's brutal. So why does this happen? Why would a buyer look at a profitable business and say, I'm only paying 1x?
Because of risk. And this is where the disconnect happens. The seller thinks, I took all this risk starting the company. I should be compensated for that bravery. But the buyer looks at it and says, I'm not paying for your past bravery. I'm paying for future certainty.
I see where you're going. If the business relies entirely on the owner to function, if they are the rainmaker, the operations manager, and the complaint department, then the business is risky for the buyer.
Exactly. If you get hit by a bus, does the revenue stop? If the answer is yes, you don't own a business, you own a job. And nobody wants to pay a premium to buy a job that requires 80 hours a week of stress.
It's the difference between buying a machine that prints money and buying a magic trick that only one person knows how to perform.
That is a perfect analogy. Buyers pay for the machine, they pay for systems, processes, and a team that works without the owner. That's what we call transferable value. If the value is stuck in your head or your personal relationships, it's not transferable. Hence, the 1x multiple.
So, let's play devil's advocate. I'm a business owner. I've been grinding for 10 years. I feel like I deserve a reward for that sweat equity. Are you telling me that sweat equity is a myth?
In the context of an exit, yes, it's a myth. Buyers don't buy effort, they buy cash flow. In fact, if I see an owner working too hard, that's a red flag. It tells me the business is inefficient. A valuable business is boring. It's predictable. It doesn't need a hero to save the day every Tuesday.
That's a tough pill to swallow for the ego. We want to feel essential. But you're saying that to get rich, you have to make yourself irrelevant.
That's the ultimate paradox of entrepreneurship. To succeed at the start, you have to be everything. You have to be the risk taker, but to succeed at the exit, you have to become nothing. You have to de-risk the asset. You have to fire yourself from the daily operations.
So, how does an owner shift that mindset? Because we're talking about a personality change here, not just a business strategy.
It starts with looking at your business through a buyer's eyes. A buyer is an investor. They want a return on investment with minimal risk. Every time you systematize a process, whether it's how you answer the phone or how you fulfill orders, you are lowering the risk profile. You are moving from that 1x multiple toward a 3x or 4x multiple.
You're turning art into process.
Yes, and frankly, a lot of small business owners aren't risk takers in the way they think they are. They are actually risk averse when it comes to delegation. They are terrified of letting go of control. They hold on to the reins so tight that they strangle the value of the company.
That's deep. The fear of losing control is actually the biggest risk to their financial future.
It is. The irony is that by trying to control everything to ensure quality, they ensure that the business dies with them. If you want a legacy and a big check, you have to trust systems more than you trust your own sweat.
It reminds me of that old saying, Work on your business, not in your business. But we hear it so much, it's become a cliche.
Cliches are usually true, though. Look, if you're exhausted at the end of every day, you're probably eroding your company's value. If you can go on vacation for a month and come back to a bigger bank account, you've built an asset. That's the litmus test.
So, for the listeners out there currently drowning in their own operations, thinking they are building an empire,
Stop being the hero. Heroes don't get paid at the closing table. Systems do.
that is a powerful place to land. It forces us to ask a really uncomfortable question. Is your business a vehicle for freedom? Or is it just a high-stress prison you built for yourself?
And more importantly, when you hand the keys to someone else, will the engine start? If the answer is no, you've got work to do.
A sobering thought, but a necessary one. Thanks for tearing down the myth today.
Anytime. It's better to know now than at the negotiating table.